Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome everyone who's coming on. Welcome to all my replay viewers. Thanks for joining me. Hello guys. If this is your first time with me, my name is Keely. I'm the owner of lovehopeadventure.com and a blog about the marriage and how to be more intimate with your spouse, how to be closer to one another, how to build a great relationship. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that has kind of been on my mind. It's about telling your spouse exactly what you need. I think sometimes we try to maybe beat around the bush about our needs or our desires, and we think we're clearly sharing that with our spouse, but we're really missing the mark on it. Now, I'm not saying that there are those of you out there who have told your spouse exactly what you need in very clear words and they haven't given it to you, and that does happen, and hey, that happens in my own marriage. There are things that my husband will ask of me and I will just say no sometimes. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think that happens in all relationships. Just because we're married doesn't mean we're going to be able to do the exact thing that the other person always needs. Now, God's changed my heart on a lot of things. Someone just asked how long I've been married. I've been married for 12 years. My husband and I have dated for 5.5 years before that. So all total, we've been in relationship for 18 years. And it's been a long, long relationship. So now your spouse can't always meet all of your needs. And sometimes what you're asking may be too much, but I really want to hone in on the point that you have to be clear about what you need. And I did want to show you something because I told my husband, oh, you just got engaged. Good job, T-Knuckles. I hope things work out for you guys. You can always follow me at Love Hope Adventure where I talk about marriage advice. I do want to show you guys this really awesome thing my husband did for me. So right now I'm wearing these earrings and this necklace. And Austin made these for me a couple of years ago. He is not a jewelry maker, but he knows I like jewelry and I like handmade stuff, so he made these for me. And yesterday I was wearing this white sweater that he gave me for Christmas, and I was saying I really need red earrings and a red necklace. And he actually made me some last night. These are the earrings he made for me. And this is the necklace he made for me. Isn't it pretty? I love it. And that was a need, that was not necessarily a need, but that is something I could communicated to him. I said, I want red earrings and a red necklace. And what did he do? He listened to me, he heard me, he came and sat down here at this table, and he made them for me. So that was a need that I shared with him. One of the things, to a degree, I think that we might be really better about sharing some of our needs, but then there are some personal needs that I think we struggle with the most. And sex is definitely, someone already asked me that. How long have I been married? I've been with my husband for married 12 years, and we have dated 5.5 years prior to that, so we've been in relationship for 18 years. And someone just said something about sexual needs, and that was one of the points I wanted to get to. I had someone leave me a message on my blog this week, and they told me that they were trying to come on to their spouse one morning and engage in sex with their spouse, and it didn't happen. So this person said that they felt like they had really put the moves on their spouse, and their spouse just got up and got coffee for everyone. And later on they had this discussion, and the spouse said, you weren't coming on to me, I was coming on to you. And in that moment, it was like, wow, this couple could have totally had great sex in the morning, but they missed the boat on each other because they miscommunicated themselves. And neither one of those individuals came right out and said, I want sex. Instead, they were just trying to be very roundabout. Someone asked me a question about booty eating. I'm not really going to answer that right now, but maybe later on I will do a scope on that. Would your sexual needs be greater than his? I don't understand your question. If you could rephrase it, that would be awesome. So as far as like sexual needs are concerned, I think you have to just come right out and say what you are looking for. Sometimes we watch movies, right? And in the movies, everybody just seems to know that the other person wants sex. Yes, I'm here. So what happens is people are, kissing each other, and all of a sudden they're on the table having sex or on the bed having sex. In real life, though, that doesn't happen. In real life, we have to say words. We have to actually use our words, because I'm going to have a lot of physical attention with my spouse that isn't always going to lead to sex. So every time I kiss him, every time I hug him, it isn't going to be like us on the bed. There are just going to be times when we're kissing goodnight. There's going to be times when we're kissing during the day, and it doesn't lead to anything. So it's super important that you are very clear. A couple minutes ago, a guy named Bill asked me a question: who needs sex the most? I don't really think that you can say that one person over the other needs sex more than the others. That's a really general thing to say or to answer. In different marriages, people have different drives. So oftentimes what will happen is one spouse has a higher drive than the other. That isn't always the case. Some couples, both the spouses have the same kind of drive. Or at the very least, they've worked it out. If one approaches the other, they're not going to say no. If you follow JD over at Sex Within Marriage, he actually takes a position that you shouldn't tell your spouse no to sex, because you're denying a need of theirs. And I would say that you guys do have to really work it out together. And some couples, one spouse is going to say, I could take it or leave it with this part of our relationship, which I don't think is healthy. If you're in that place where you're saying, I could take it or leave it with sex, that's really not very healthy, because so much intimacy occurs during that physical union, and your marriage needs that. As far as the higher drive spouse asking and the lower drive spouse saying no, that's going to happen sometimes too. Oh, you're welcome, Bill. And somebody recently told me my comments are kind of delayed, so if you ask me something and it looks like maybe I took a little while to answer it, it's because I didn't see your comment until I start answering it. So what happens in marriage is, if you've got one spouse that's higher drive and they are trying to let the lower drive spouse know that they do need sex, sometimes they're not being very clear about it, and sometimes maybe they are. And maybe that lower drive spouse says no, or says not tonight, or hey, let's do this later. That's kind of different. But when you are specific about, hi from Dubai, when you are very specific about what you need, it really does sort of eliminate the communication aspect of things. And what I said when I started out the scope, there are going to be times when you are very specific about what you need from your spouse, and they are going to reject it. That's just what's going to happen sometimes. Now, should you guys work together to move past that? Absolutely. If your spouse comes to you and has a need, and they've been very clear on communicating it to you, then you're in your court, and you need to figure out, how can I meet this need for my spouse? And the person who did the asking needs to give some patience and time, because it takes time to make changes and to do the things that your spouse is asking of you. And a lot of couples deal with that, where one spouse needs something and the other spouse isn't willing to budge on it, and sometimes it takes years to resolve those kinds of things. Someone said they just joined, what are we talking about? And today I'm talking about asking specifically for the things that you need from your spouse. And really the whole thing that I wanted to hit home is that you've got to use your words, got to communicate, and you have to be very clear in your words, because sometimes we expect the other person to read our mind. Sometimes we think we're being clear, but we're not. And so when you feel like you have shared with your spouse something you need and they haven't met the request, talk to them about it later on and ask them, hey, very specifically, do you understand that this is what I need from you? And when it comes to sex, if you guys are in the moment and you want sex and you are trying to put the moves on your spouse, whatever that looks like for you, and it doesn't seem like they're quite getting the hint, you need to go ahead and say the words, hey, can we have sex now? Just say it. It's not like the movies. It is so frustrating to me to see what's portrayed in the movies as far as sexual intimacy, because it is absolutely nothing like real life. And I think it disappoints people because they have no idea what to expect. So in the movies, most people, I don't watch sex scenes. I always fast forward through it. But man, I can see where a scene is going in a very short period of time. Yes, I am married. I've been married for 12 years. So I can see pretty quickly where a scene's going. The minute people start kissing, man, they're going to be undressing and having sex. In real life, though, that does not always happen, especially in a marriage relationship, because you're likely going to kiss your spouse a couple times a day. It isn't always going to be leading to sex, though. So it's super important that you say the words. Someone says they think it would ruin sex if you start asking for it. I don't agree with that at all. I have been in a long-term marriage for 12 years. I love my husband. We have an amazing sex life. And one of the best things that happened in our sex life was when we started scheduling sex. We started asking for it and talking about it more and not just letting it happen when it was going to happen. There's a couple of other things we did to get on that path, but it does not at all take away from our sexual experience to ask for it, to say, hey, can we have sex? We love it just as much as we do if it happened naturally or, without asking. So I know that a lot of people think that. I think you feel that way because of what you see in the movies. No one ever asks for sex in the movies, all right? It's passionate and they go into it. But in real life, that doesn't always happen. And I would encourage you to make sure you're having physical time with your spouse that doesn't lead to sex. And so that can get extremely confusing when you're in a relationship where you're used to kissing goodnight, and that kiss doesn't mean you're going to be intimate. But sometimes that kiss does mean you're going to be intimate, which is why using your words is so important. Thank you guys for joining me today. I think I went on a little longer than I usually do here. Again, if you joined in at the end, my name is Keely. I'm the owner of LoveHopeAdventure.com, and you can always go over there and check out some of my marriage advice and see what I'm blogging about every day. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. I take off Saturdays and Sunday from Periscoping. So see you guys soon.